Over 1,000 years before many of today's Southeast Asian nations took shape, there flourished a remarkable civilization whose echoes still resonate in the region's history and culture. The Kingdom of Funan, one of the oldest known societies in this part of the world, once stood at the crossroads of mighty empires, bustling maritime trade, and the meeting of continents. Though many details remain shrouded in mystery, piecing together the story of Funan offers a fascinating glimpse into a world transformed by commerce, culture, and connectivity. To trace the origins of Funan, we must travel back to the first centuries of the Common Era. Archaeological findings and ancient records suggest that Funan began to emerge as early as the 1st century, centered in the fertile delta along the lower Mekong River. This region today straddles southern Vietnam and Cambodia, a landscape dotted with rivers, wetlands, and open plains, ideally suited to support rising urban centers and thriving agriculture. According to Chinese historical texts, Funan was the first great kingdom of Southeast Asia, rising long before even the Khmer Empire, or the early polities of Indonesia and Thailand. But what did the people of Funan call their kingdom? Strangely, the name Funan does not appear in any of their own inscriptions. It comes instead from early Chinese diplomats and envoys who ventured south by the China Sea, seeking new trade partners and allies. Their descriptions paint the picture of a sophisticated society ruled by powerful kings, enriched by international trade and cultural exchange. These records, along with ruins unearthed from the Mekong Delta, give us the clues we need to reconstruct Funan's lost world. The written reports of visitors like Kang Tai, a Chinese traveler in the 3rd century, offer rare windows into daily life and governance in Funan. They describe a land crisscrossed by networks of canals and waterways, its cities alive with markets and temples. Merchandise and ideas flowed in from every direction, from India, from China, and even farther afield. Recent archaeological work has confirmed many of these accounts. The remains of ancient ports, tools, and structures, along with statues and carvings, helped to fill in the gaps left by written sources. One of the most striking features of Funan was the depth of its Indian influence, what historians call Indianization. As centuries advanced, contact with Indian traders and religious teachers brought profound changes. Funan's rulers adopted Indian titles, inscriptions, and scripts, and they were often portrayed as divine, following the Indian tradition of kingship. Hinduism became the religion of the court, its gods, Vishnu, Shiva, and others, honored with statues and elaborately decorated temples. Later, Buddhist teachings also took root, shaping new schools of thought and practice. Indianization extended beyond religion and government to the arts. Funanese artists sculpted works in the likeness of Indian mythological figures, scenes from the Ramayana and Mahabharata, gods adorned in intricate garb, stone lintels carved with elaborate floral patterns. Sanskrit, the sacred language of India, began to appear on objects and temple walls. In time, Funan became not only a recipient of Indian influence but also a vehicle for its spread throughout the wider region, serving as a bridge between the South Asian subcontinent and the lands of the Far East. At the heart of Funan's power was its strategic location. The kingdom controlled both the Mekong Delta and access to the sea, positioning itself at the point where east-west shipping lanes crossed. Merchants from China and India flocked to its harbors, bringing treasures and tales. Goods such as spices, gold, ivory, rare woods, silks, and ceramics moved through Funan's bustling markets, connecting local producers with distant buyers. The port city of Ok Ao, possibly Funan's capital, was a hive of activity, featuring extensive canals, warehouses, and grand religious buildings. Archaeologists have unearthed Roman coins and glassware here, evidence of Funan's place in an ancient web of truly global trade. To govern this sprawling and diverse society, Funan relied on a centralized system led by a powerful king, chosen from noble lineages and often advised by priests and high officials well-versed in Indian traditions. The king sat at the top of a social pyramid, ruling over nobles, commoners, craftsmen, and farmers. It was a society of both cities and countryside, where urban centers thrived alongside vast rice fields and fishing villages. In the legends preserved by later storytellers, we hear of Funan's founding by the marriage of an Indian Brahmin prince named Kaundinya and a local queen called Soma. Their descendants, it was said, blended Indian and local customs, forging a kingdom at the meeting point of two civilizations. While the legend cannot be confirmed, it highlights how the blending of cultures shaped Funan's unique history. Life in Funan was vibrant, with religion and ritual playing an important everyday role. Hinduism, introduced from India, at first dominated official life, and gods like Vishnu, Shiva, and Devi were worshipped in temples both public and private. Buddhist monks and nuns soon joined the religious landscape, offering new interpretations of life, duty, and salvation. Festivals, ceremonial events, and public works were all guided by beliefs that melded indigenous traditions with imported Indian religious thought. Yet, for centuries after its rise, Funan's fortunes began to shift. Sometime in the 6th century, records of the kingdom fade, replaced by tales of new powers, most notably Chenla, which would in turn pave the way for the later splendors of the Khmer Empire. Why did Funan decline? The answers remain uncertain. Some historians point to invasions or conquests by neighboring states. Others suggest that changing monsoon patterns or shifting trade routes may have drawn wealth and influence away from Funan's seaports. Perhaps internal strife or natural disasters, such as floods, undermined centralized authority and led to the kingdom's quiet collapse. Whatever the true cause, Funan disappeared from history, even as its legacy endured. That legacy is everywhere apparent in Southeast Asia. Funan showed the entire region the possibilities of active international trade, religious and cultural exchange, and sophisticated urban organization. Its adoption and transmission of Indian religious and artistic traditions laid the foundation on which later states and empires would build. The Khmer Empire, which would rise centuries later, drew on Funanese models for its capital cities, stone temples, and divine kingship, culminating in marvels like Angkor Wat. Even today, archaeologists are uncovering new fragments of Funan's history, hidden ruins, ancient inscriptions, and treasured artifacts. Each discovery brings us closer to knowing the people who built this lost kingdom, sailed its waters, worshipped in its temples, and helped shape the world as we know it. In the end, the story of Funan is a reminder that civilization is more ancient, complex, and interconnected than we often imagine. It is a story of journeys and exchanges, of kings and traders, priests and architects, blending local traditions with new influences from distant lands. Although so much about Funan remains to be discovered, curiosity and the search for knowledge continue to reveal new wonders about this remarkable ancient kingdom.